Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we will be discussing about the history of India, and particularly we will be discussing the Anglo-Maratha struggle for supremacy. The other relevant chapters will be covered in the subsequent videos, and what has not been covered will be provided in form of notes. But today we will be considering these topics. We'll be starting with these topics and we'll see what lies ahead. I hope you are all having a good time and you are not letting the demons inside you tell you that I cannot do it. You can do it and we will do it together. So, the Anglo Maratha struggle for supremacy, the rise of the Marathas. So, we discuss first the rise of the Marathas. Yes. As the Mughal Empire declined, one of the staunchest and hardiest of the empire's adversaries, the Marathas got a chance to rise in power. So this primarily happened when the Mughal Empire was declining. They controlled a large portion of the country. Besides, they also received tributes from areas not directly under their control. So this is India. The largest part of India was under the Maratha control, and where it wasn't, the tributes were being sent to the Marathas. By the middle of the 18th century, they were in Lahore thinking of becoming rulers of the North Indian Empire, and in the court of the Mughals playing the role of kingmakers. Though the third battle of Panipat, in which they were defeated by Ahmad Shah Abdali, changed the situation, they regrouped, regained their strength, and within a decade achieved a position of power in India. So remember the third battle of Panipat. Yes, they got defeated by Ahmad Shah Abdali, but they again rose up and gained a very good share of power in India. Then we discuss about Bajirao the First. During 1720 to 1740 was his period. Considered greatest of all the Peshwas, he was a Peshwa. Had started a confederacy of prominent Maratha chiefs to manage the rapidly expanding Maratha power and, to some extent, appease the Kshatriya section of the Marathas. Peshwas were Brahmins, so they were the Brahmins. So they were the Brahmins, but they did something to attract the Kshatriyas as well, led by Senapati Dabodi. So the Senapati of Bajirao I was Dabodi. Under the arrangement of the Maratha Confederacy, each prominent family under a chief was assigned a sphere of influence, which he was supposed to conquer and rule, but in the name of the then Maratha king Shahu. So the Shahu was the Maratha king, but how it worked was, again we'll read it. Under the arrangement of the Maratha Confederacy, each prominent family under a chief was assigned a sphere of influence which he was supposed to conquer and rule, but in the name of then Maratha king Shahu. The Maratha families which emerged prominent. So the prominent Maratha families were the Gaekwads. The Gaekwad of Baroda. Okay? Then they were the Bhonsle of Nagpur. They were the Holkars of Indore. The Sindhias of Gwalior. And the Peshwa of Pune. The confederacy under Bajirao I to Madhavrao I worked cordially, but the third battle of Panipat changed everything. The third battle of Panipat happened in 1761. So they are saying what? That Bajirao I to Madhavrao I. It worked fine, but the third battle of Panipat 1761 changed it all. the defeat at Panipat, and later the death of the young Peshwa Madhavrao I in 1772 weakened the control of the Peshwas over the Confederacy. So this is when they lost power. The second shock came to them during the death, after the death of Madhavrao I. Though the chiefs of the Confederacy united on occasion as against the British during 1775 to 82, more often they quarrelled among themselves. So there were periods when they did reunite, for example during 1775 to 82 against the British, but mostly they had some kinds of disputes between them. Now, it creates enough chance for us to bring into the picture entry of English into the Maratha Empire, because wherever there is fight, there is English. The years between the last quarter of 18th century, and the first quarter of 19th century witnessed the Marathas and the English clashing thrice for political supremacy, with the English emerging victorious in the end. The cause of these conflicts were the inordinate ambition of the English and the divided house of the Marathas that encouraged the English to hope for success in their venture. So, what were the two reasons for the cause of conflicts? Yes, cause of conflicts between Maratha and the English. First, that English were their ambitions. And for Marathas, it was their inner conflicts. The English in Bombay wanted to establish a government on the lines of the arrangement made by Clive in Bengal. We know Robert Clive had secured trade preferences in Bengal. So the English wanted the same to happen in Maharashtra, in Bombay. He did it in Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. So it was a longed for opportunity for the English when dissensions over a succession divided the Marathas. Then what happened? The first Anglo-Maratha War. The first Anglo-Maratha War happened during 1775 to 82. After the death of Madhavrao in 1772, his brother Narayan Rao succeeded him as the fifth Peshwa. However, Narayan Rao's uncle Raghunath Rao had his nephew assassinated and named himself as the next Peshwa, although he was not a legal heir. Narayan Rao's widow Gangabai gave birth to a son after her husband's death. The newborn infant was named Savai, 1¼ Savai Madhavrao, and he was legally the next Peshwa. 12 Maratha chiefs, that is Bada Bhai, led by Nana Phadnavis, made an effort to name the infant as the new Peshwa and rule for him as regents. So what names do we understand coming up here? We see that after the death of Madhavrao, Narayan Rao, who was his brother, had succeeded him as the fifth Peshwa. But Narayan Rao's uncle, Raghunath Rao, had gotten him assassinated. He had a wife who gave birth to his son, who was named Savai Madhav, which basically means 1/4 Madhavrao. Yes, and he was the legal heir. Now, the Maratha chiefs, which were called Bada Bhai, they wanted, under the leadership of Nana Phadnavis, to make Savai Madhav as the king and then just act on his behalf as his regents. Treaties of Surat and Purandhar. Raghunath Rao, unwilling to give up his position in power, sought help from the English at Bombay and signed the Treaty of Surat in 1775. So when he saw that the power for which he craved and killed his own niece, could have withered away. He signed the Treaty of Surat in 1775. Under the treaty, Raghunath Rao ceded the territories of Salsette and Bassein. Which one? Salsette and Bassein. He ceded these territories, the territories of Salsette and Bassein, to the English along with a portion of the revenues from Surat and Bharuch districts. So revenue from Surat and Bharuch, whereas Salsette, the territories of Salsette were ceded to the English. In return, the English were to provide Raghunath Rao with 2,500 soldiers. The British Calcutta Council, on the other side of India, condemned the Treaty of Surat and sent Colonel Upton to Pune to annul it and make a new treaty, Treaty of Purandar. So they didn't like this treaty and they sent their colonel to sign another treaty in 1776 called as Treaty of Purandar, with the Regency renouncing Raghunath and promising him a pension. The Bombay government rejected this and gave refuge to Raghunath. In 1777, Nana Fadnavis violated his treaty with the Calcutta Council by granting the French a port on the west coast, and now enters the French people. They got a west coast port by Nana Fadnavis. Nana Fadnavis wants Savai Madhav Rao to become the successor. The English retaliated by sending a force towards Pune. This led to the war. The English and the Maratha armies met on the outskirts of Pune. Though the Maratha army had a large number of soldiers than the English, the latter had highly superior ammunition and cannons. That is, the Britishers had better ammunition and cannons. However, the Maratha army was commanded by a brilliant general named Mahatji Sindhia, also known as Madhavji Shinde. So Mahatji Sindhia was the leader of the force. Mahatji lured the English army into the Ghats near Talegaon and trapped the English from all sides and attacked the English supply base at Khopalli. The Marathas also utilized a scorched earth policy. So we see that Maratha had used the scorched earth policy, burning farmland and poisoning wells. As the English began, so what it involves? It involves burning farmlands and poisoning the wells. As the English began to withdraw to Talegaon, the Marathas attacked, forcing them to retreat to the village of Vadgaon. Here the English army was surrounded on all sides by the Marathas and cut off from food and water supplies. The English surrendered by mid-January 1779 and signed the Treaty of Vadgaon that forced the Bombay government to relinquish all territories acquired by the English since 1775. The English had to surrender in 1779 and the Treaty of Vadgaon was signed. And all the treaties that were acquired by the English in 1775 were relinquished. Now comes the Treaty of Shalbai. Treaty of Salbai in 1782. End of the first phase of the struggle. Warren Hastings, the Governor General in Bengal, rejected the Treaty of Vadgaon and sent a large force of soldiers under Colonel Goddard, who captured Ahmedabad in February 1779 and Bassein in December 1780. Another Bengal detachment led by Captain Popham captured Gwalior in August 1780. In February 1781, the English under General Camac finally defeated Scindia at Shipri. Scindia proposed a new treaty between the Peshwa and the English, and the Treaty of Shalbai was signed in May 1782. It was ratified by Hastings in June 1782 and by Phadnavis in February 1783. The treaty guaranteed peace between the two sides for 20 years. So a final Treaty of Shalbai was signed between all of these, the Britishers and the Peshwas, which promised peace for 20 years. And an important name that comes up here is Warren Hastings. So this happened during the time of Warren Hastings. The main provisions of the Treaty of Shalbai were: first, Salsette should continue in the possession of English. Salsette was to remain with the English. The whole of the territory conquered since the Treaty of Purandhar, including Baishan, would be restored to the Marathas. The second was the Purandhar. Since the Treaty of Purandhar, everything that was captured, including Baishan, were to be given to the Marathas. And in Gujarat, Fateh Singh Gaikwad should remain in possession of the territory which he had before the war and should serve as the Peshwa as before. So Fateh Singh Gaikwad is associated with this treaty of Shalbai and he retains Peshwa and territory. Right? The other one was the English should not offer any further support to Raghunath Rao and the Peshwa should grant him a maintenance allowance. The fourth one is Raghunath Rao has no ties with the British anymore and he gets some allowance from the Marathas. The fifth, Hyder Ali should return all the territory taken from the English and the Nawab of Arcot. So Hyder Ali will relinquish the territory taken from the English and the Nawab of Arcot. From whom? From the English and Nawab of Arcot. Yes, the sixth one. The English should enjoy the privileges at trade before. So English can restored trade preferences. The Peshwa should not support any other European nation. So French are out. French and other Europeans are out of support by Marathas. And then the Peshwa and the English should undertake their several allies and they should remain at peace with one another. So they also call upon peace. And the ninth is that Mahatji Scindia should be the mutual guarantor for the proper observance of the. So who became the mutual guarantor? The mutual guarantor was Mahatji Scindia. Yes, this was about the first Anglo-Maratha war and the emergence of English in the Maratha scene. In the next video, we will be discussing about the second Anglo-Maratha war. In this video, we can have a quick recap since how we have started. So, the Anglo-Maratha struggle for supremacy. The Marathas rose up when the Mughal Empire started declining. They had a vast territory of Indian control, and otherwise they also received tributes from the regions not under their control. It all happened during the 18th century. The third battle of Panipat, where they got defeated by Ahmad Shah Abdali, did weaken them, but they quickly got back and strengthened their position. Bajirao first, during 1720 to 1740, was ruling. He was a Peshwa. Peshwas were the Brahmins, and they also did have some policies which could attract the Kshatriyas. The Peshwa Senapati at the time was Dabodi, and the king was Shahu. The prominent Peshwas, the prominent families that of the Maratha Confederacy were the Gayakwad of Baroda, the Bhosle of Nagpur, the Holkars of Indore, the Sindhias of Gwalior, and the Peshwa of Pune. Bajirao first to Madhavrao won. This confederacy worked cordially. But during 1761, after the fall in the Battle of Panipat, and at the time of demise of Madhavrao first during 1772, they had some troubles. They had their internal disputes. However, they did unite, particularly against the British during 1775 to 82. When it is about conflict, it is about English. So the entry of English it has started happening at the last quarter of 18th century and 19th century. The cause of conflicts were two. The English had ambitions and the Marathas had inner conflicts. Robert Clive was currently the one at Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. The English wanted to present the same model that they had in Bihar, Bengal and Odisha to Bombay. Subsequently, things did not settle in, and the first Anglo-Maratha war happened between 1775 to 82. Narayan Rao had died. Madhav Rao had died, and then Narayan Rao was succeeded him. But his uncle Raghunath Rao got him assassinated. Narayan Rao's wife gave a birth to his son Savai Madhav Rao. The Barabhai, that were the chiefs of the army, were willing to make the Savai Madhav Rao the successor, as he was the legal heir. Under the leadership of Nana Fadnavis, the Barabhai had wanted Savai Madhav Rao. However, Raghunath Rao was not willing to get away with the power. The treaty in Surat happened in 1775. It ceded the territories of Salsit and Bassein and the revenue from Surat and Bharuch to the English. The Treaty of Purandhar 1776. The then English company did not like the proposal and they wanted to sign the Treaty of Purandhar 1776. However, Nana Fadnavis broke the treaty and he allowed a port on the west coast to the French. The English sent their army to Pune, and under the leadership of Mahaji Scindia, the battle happened. The Maratha used the scorched earth policy, which involves burning farmlands and poisoning the wells. The English had to give up in 1779 and the Treaty of Vadgaon was signed. Then the Treaty of Shalbai was signed in 1782. The Treaty of Shalbai had peace for 20 years and Warren Hastings was in charge of the English Empire at the time. It involved the following things. The first, the territory of Shalshetar was supposed to remain with English. Anything that was captured after the Treaty of Purandhar, including Bassein, was to be given back to the Marathas. Fateh Singh Gaekwad could remain the Peshwa and he could have retained his territory. Raghunath Rao would not receive any support from the Britishers and Marathas would pay him some kind of allowance. Hyder Ali had to relinquish the property that he acquired from the English and the Nawab of Arcot. English restored trade preferences. French and the other Europeans were out of support by Marathas. They strove for peace and the mutual guarantor was Mahaji Scindia. So this is what we have learned. it was a little bit long. I hope you have been able to understand some of it and remember that. Please revise it. I hope to conduct a quick quiz also. I would like to consider completing the entire history as soon as possible. Please take care and stay happy.